Welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a ChatGPT image, such as this one that you get rid of the glare, get it off the bottle, and unwrap it open, which is very annoying to do, at least inside ChatGPT. And I developed a whole system around how to do this properly. So here is just some of the image generations along the way to show you kind of the process that we're going through. Stay tuned, and we're going to walk you through this exact process with the prompts that I use. But anyways, the end image looks like this one. And from here, you can add the nutrition information over here, other information over here. And you just wind up putting the creativity back into your own hands while requiring you to have very little ability to actually design within the computer or draw anything at all. So stay tuned for this, and it's a really great video. Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to make professional looking labels that you can take directly from ChatGPT and bring to Photoshop without doing much work at all in Photoshop to actually export them. So to start off, one of the main issues you run into when you try to generate artwork on ChatGPT is you wind up with great things like this, but the label is always on the bottle and we're trying to get it unwrapped, and there's also glare right here. We want to try to get rid of that. But I mean, the bottle looks amazing, the artwork's amazing. Here's some other examples. It's just, we don't necessarily want to have to unwrap this on the bottle itself. So I came up with a process that gets you a really high quality label that takes minimum amount of time in ChatGPT. And it's like every minute you spend in ChatGPT saves you about an hour in Photoshop, at least for me, because I'm not terribly good at Photoshop, even though I have some proficiency in it. So for this, let's see, we'll do kind of like this one. I'm going to show you the process and how I do this using this prompt. But first off, I just want to make sure you understand, you want to generate as many images as you can until you find a label that you like, because it's a lot easier to do this and then perform the process on a specific label, because the process does take a little bit of time to actually get going. But you're going to click on the image, and you do need ChatGPT Pro to do this, which is just $20 a month, and it's really nothing. First off, you're going to select everything besides the label itself. It doesn't matter if you nick it a little bit. We're just going to take the selection tool right here. I do recommend doing this on a computer. I don't know how well this would work on a phone. Trying to highlight on using your finger, and we're going to get this little section over here. Okay. And then the prompt is just give the appearance that this label has been unwrapped. The design should be clean, detailed lines and vibrant colors. Ensure that the text and artwork are sharp and clearly visible. So if you have tried to generate a label, you know ChatGPT is horrible at actually unwrapping it for you. And no matter how many times you ask it to unwrap, it either gives you concept art that isn't that good for putting on a bottle itself, or it gives you an image like this that we have on the screen. Send. Okay, well, mine's being a little slow, so I'm going to pause it here, and then I'll unpause it once we get the actual result. Okay, here we go. It's unwrapped a little bit, but it needs more editing to really get it to where we want. And the whole purpose of highlighting before is to remove any evidence that the label was ever on a bottle itself. So right now what we're going to try to do is remove any evidence that this label has curvature to it, which means we do have to go slightly closer to the middle. Oops. Now it's freezing on me. Give me a second. There we go. Just touching this up. And we're going to give it the exact same prompt. I recommend putting this prompt into a Google Doc or something else where you know where they are, because once you have a prompt that works, it's basically like gold, and you should keep just make sure you have it because it takes a while. And yeah, sometimes ChatGPT is a little messy, and sometimes you might have to refresh the tab if it's not loading fast enough, but other times it works. I am running this on an i5 Intel chip, so it's not necessarily the fastest, but that shouldn't really have too much to do with my internet connection. But the servers just might be a little slow today. I do find ChatGPT works significantly better than Midjourney. At least I had Midjourney about 6 months ago when I was trying to do this on it, and ChatGPT, it just gets a lot of the wording a lot better than the other AI models. So like right here we have pre-workout. It says it spelled correctly. So here we go. This is the new image that it's giving us. Look at that. That's a lot better. It's not necessarily all wrapped up, but what we're going to do again, heck, we can just go here, hit regenerate on the same image, and see if we get something better the second time around. And if we don't, we'll go back to this one and we'll continue editing the process. And it's an iteration of you just keep doing this, which is why I recommend finding an image or a label, a design that you really, really like, and then doing this process on it, because it does tend to eat up your image generation credits, and you only have so many a day. I think it's like 50 or something, but it takes a little while. So don't necessarily try to generate a lot of final result images. Just get some rough ideas and then focus on those images. You do need to keep track of where the images are, because this process of editing only works on images that ChatGPT generates. You can't give ChatGPT an image yet and then edit it using this process. I really, really wish you could. Okay, this is worse off. We're going to go back to the first one. So just hitting the back arrow, clicking this image, enlarging. But as you see, it's kind of like we're getting flatter each time. I'm not terribly a huge fan of this, but let's see, I want to cut out this section. Could go for, yeah, I'm just going to go back to the middle. Try to cut it a little bit closer to the lightning bolt. This one is a little bit more tricky because you can see the curvature of the label on the bottle. A lot of other ones that I've generated tend to be less, like have less curvature to them, so it's easier to flatten them out. But, and then just submit this. And you just keep going. I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to do a couple iterations. I'll probably do one more iteration, and I'll pause it, do a couple iterations of this, and I'll kind of show you how it looks. But it takes a little bit of time, and it saves you hours in Photoshop trying to like match or wrap like a smart object around this, and then unflatten it, and then like going out here and removing all this stuff and using the touch-up tool. Because later on I'll show you how you can just take the wand, highlight these sections, and turn them completely blank, which allows you to input information like company info, address, serving size, nutrition information, and it saves you so much time. Let's see what it gives us. I don't like that. We're gonna regenerate. So I'm gonna pause here. I'm gonna do a couple generations, and then I'll restart the video and I'll show you kind of the process we went through to get to where we are. You know what? I don't like the results I'm getting, so I'm gonna go back to this image, which I actually do think is absolutely amazing for pre-workout. And I'm gonna highlight this, and then kind of just go back up and see if I can't start getting better results from here. So just highlight the bottom, anything that shows the edge really. The image does show some curvature, but I'm going to try to take that off because this artwork is much, much better. That's something that you can do is if you don't like the direction you're heading in, just go up to the last image that you did like and then restart the editing process from there. So some other things to talk about. When you first generate the image, you do want to do a 16:9 ratio. So you wind up with space on the side here to fully unwrap it, because when you unwrap it, it's going to be rectangular. If you don't specify that specifically, you might end up with a square image, and having the square image is not necessarily that good because it doesn't give you the space on the sides of it to unwrap, and you just be stuck with an artwork, a concept piece that you really, really like, but that you can't actually unwrap on the bottle. Another good thing to note is for a lot of these, you can take the background artwork. Okay, it's getting cool, but we go up here. You can take the background artwork of this. You can save this image, and then upload the actual picture once you're finished photoshopping, changing the information of your supplement on it, and you keep the background. So that's a nice tip to wind up with really good looking products for the website. Select here, and we're just gonna go through this again. I probably could have hit regen, but I'm just gonna try to get rid of every example showing the label is curving and see what that gives us. So we're gonna go here, some detailed work, highlight this, highlight this little box up here. And the whole reason why this works is because ChatGPT is predicting what the next pixels should be based off of the pixels that are already there, while referencing what you've told it in its prompt. So if the pixels are curving, it's going to be referencing those curving pixels, and you're just going to get more curving pixels no matter what you tell it. So you kind of just need to remove those curving pixels so it can't reference the pixels you don't want to reference. Here, I think that's good. So later on, I'm going to show you how to remove the glare and kind of level out the colors. And for that, we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be highlighting every section that there is glare, and then we're going to have it regenerate and keep regenerating until we get something that we want. So it's kind of like there's a concept in engineering or in computer programming called like the noisy algorithm. You kind of jump around wildly, and then you start settling into these local maximums. So kind of just randomly generating stuff. And then once we find something that we randomly generate that we like, we then keep it and then start iterating from there. So it's kind of like an evolution-based AI, using AI to generate it. But you don't necessarily need to understand what I just said. Let's see what the latest one looks like. Not bad. Okay, less curved. Still some curvature to it. That's what I mean. You just keep removing examples that ever curved. Flatten here. And for this, even though I'm not the biggest fan of these sides right now, I am going to keep them just because we're following the trend of the label unwrapping. So I don't like the artwork on the sides, but it is unwrapping and it is muting slightly to the sides, which is what you want, so that you can put the nutrition information in there without it necessarily having the artwork being too distractive to actually understand or draw the eye away from the ingredients, unless that's what you're going for. It all depends on the quality of the actual supplement you're making. But anyways, the whole point I'm trying to say is it unwrapped for us more than it had previously. So I want to reward that behavior by using this new image to then generate other ones, and then later on, once we have it fully flat, we can then work on the glare. We can then work on the actual artwork, getting it to match this stuff more. But you kind of want to focus on one thing at a time, like unwrapping it, and then you continue to unwrap it until you get it fully unwrapped. And then once you get it fully unwrapped, you can then focus on removing all glare or changing sections of it that you don't like. But you just follow this process, and we're gonna get rid of that section up there. Give it the same prompt. This is what I mean. We've probably done like 15 image generations so far, so it does take some time, but it's going to save you boatloads in Photoshop. Anyways, I'm going to pause the video here because I don't want to get too long, and I'm going to show you what it looks like 5 generations down the road when we start going and undoing the glare. Here we go. Finally got the image up, and it actually only took a couple of generations, like 2 more. So it really depends on how, it's kind of random, honestly, how quickly it takes to get here. I got here yesterday for a different image I was generating with just 6 reiterations of the same prompt. So this one took us a little bit longer. Anyways, now that we have this, we can go, let's see, I don't like this section. So you want edit sections here, so you don't go too far back. I don't like this section. So now what I'm going to do is I'm asking it to generate an image and predict what the pixels should be from this section to connect this section. And the reason why I'm not selecting this whole thing yet is because if I did that, it might bend the label again, and then we'd be back to where we started. So for now, we're going to be using this prompt, which is: the design should have clean, detailed lines, vibrant colors, ensure that the text and artwork are sharp and clearly visible. But we just go through the same process that we just went through, and we start iterating over sections. And remember, we're trying to guide it so that it makes the image we want. So even though I don't want this section yet, I want it to still remain flat. So I'm going to edit this section, and then I'm going to do this section, because if this section's flat and this section's flat, it's going to make this middle section flat, or at least it should. And then we just keep iterating through this, and hopefully my image can load. Let's see what it gives us. How's the old one? Okay, we get rid of some glare. That's good. And again, we're gonna go here. Don't like this. I don't like that little section right there. We're gonna remove that. Tell it to regenerate the same image. Well, regenerate the image. And this is what you do. You just keep iterating on this, and it saves you a lot of time, because getting rid of the glare, first off, saves you so much time in Photoshop, because you don't want there to be glare on your label. It just looks horrible. And we're also gonna, later on, we're gonna take care of these texts right here, because sometimes you have a gradient in the image, so you're shading between colors, and when you try to match that in Photoshop, it just takes a lot more time than highlighting it within ChatGPT and taking care of it here. So like I said earlier, a minute in ChatGPT could save you an hour in Photoshop. And I found that to be very true. Okay, glare line's getting smaller. We're gonna go with a little finer brush now. I'm gonna highlight this. I mean, a more steady hand would also do you better, but highlight this section. We're gonna highlight here. I don't like that. No, I don't want to save image. We're gonna highlight right there. That's not going to be the UPC code I use. Highlight that. Come up here. And you kind of want these side panels to be a little blank because you're not going for, like, you can't use this right here for your own supplement facts. So it's easier to just have them blank and then put them in yourself. And that way you don't wind up having to edit them out. Yeah, but we still have to take care of the glare here. And if you want, you can, now that the image is flat, it's a lot easier to go back in and edit. If you want to change this section and have more lightning over here, then you could highlight that and tell it to have lightning. We could highlight right here to match these two lines because it's kind of broken off. And this is just an example of how you can keep iterating through, but we now have a flat label that you can edit. And you just highlight the glare sections. And if you highlight all, you need to highlight all of the glare. So you can't just highlight one section that has glare. You have to highlight the whole piece that has the glare, and then ChatGPT will remove it, because if you have like no glare here, glare, and then no glare here, it's going to match the pixels between. So no glare and no glare is just going to kind of like bring no glare to the middle. Hopefully that makes sense. When you get in here and you actually start playing around with it, it's going to make a lot more sense to you. But this is, I'm trying to summarize all my knowledge of like hours upon doing this, and I absolutely love ChatGPT and the image generation. I really, really, really wish that I could bring an image into GPT and then edit it there, but I haven't found a good AI program yet to do that. If you do know one, please comment it down below. I'm not too pleased with the results you get with Photoshop's own AI image generation. It seems to be pretty crap for computer generated images like this, but it works better for like cropping someone out of a family photo. I think it's just how they trained the model and what they trained it on. So, what is this new image? Oh, look at that. Go rid of that side information. So now we would go through highlighting all that there's glare, that patch, there, there's some glare there. But even from where we were previously, and then I'm also just going to go really small and see what it gives me for connecting these lines and having the red continue up top there, and then I want to see what it does for this. It's not always advised to combine prompts, but it is something that you can do to save image credits. It's just not recommended because if it removes all the glare here, I really like the image that it generates, but I don't like necessarily what it did here, then I have to regenerate. So it's actually better procedure to only work on one section at a time. I'm just kind of experimenting a little bit with this one. And yeah, once you take it through this process, the next step you want to do is to use an image upscaler. So for that, I recommend, where is it? Upscaling. So Upscayl, and it is an AI image upscaler that, well, let's try to refresh this page. It's an AI image upscaler that is free to download and I think open source. So it works really well for images and it takes up the quality so well and allows you to get a lot better pixel density when you take it into Photoshop. Okay, let's just regenerate. Yeah, sometimes you have to refresh the page, sometimes you have to regenerate. It's just part of dealing with ChatGPT. But after this, I mean, you get the idea, you get the process that we're doing. So the video is already at, I think it's the 20-minute mark right now. So after this image, I'm going to show you a previous example of how I use the image upscaler, and then we're going to call it here. But you get the process of, you select the pixels that you don't want, and if there are pixels that you do want, you keep them on either side, and it kind of like changes the color of the one in the middle. If you ever played Othello, it's kind of like that. Okay, that's cool. So I'm just gonna do, it's cool, but I'm not 100%. I like, is that, I like this one more than the previous one. So if I was to continue highlighting, what I do is select here, and what I'm saying is black here, black here. When I select the middle, it's going to most likely interpret these as black, or at least you're giving it the highest percent likelihood of doing that. Pull this down here, and then, I mean, this black is a different shade than this black, but that would take a couple prompts to fix. We could highlight this section and then tell it to darken up the black. But I would then regenerate it from here. It fixed the lines, so it kind of made them slim up, which is something I like. But we're going to go to the image upscaler because this is something that you can just keep doing and doing and doing. So this is the image that we wound up with, and you could continue editing this, maybe make pre-workout a little bit bigger. But for now, I just want to show you how to use the upscale software. So you select the image, which you just do as drag and drop it. You want to select the model as digital art. And I like hitting double upscale, but it does take about an hour to do this on an i5 Intel chip. So I recommend having a secondary computer if possible, or running this overnight. I like having an old computer that I can just run stuff on and have it constantly going in the background while I do other stuff on my main computer, so I don't have to slow it down with certain tasks. You want to set the image upscale to ×4. If you click this, it's ×16. So you're taking something from 1,792 pixels to 28,000 pixels. It takes a while. It's a huge file. I would even check to see if you need to take it this big. So you could just do the 4x, and you just look at, I think this would be high enough depending on how large you're doing it. You don't often need to take it all the way up to the 16, but you can, especially if you have a computer strong enough or powerful enough to do it. Anyways, once you generate the image, I want to show you two examples that I did yesterday for the video, even though I redid the video today. So in this one, you can see decently sharp, looks nice. This was the original image, and this is kind of what you do to it. When you ×16 this again, you get even better results, but it kind of removes all this noise and allows you to more easily select the parts that you want to edit once you're in Photoshop itself. I know Photoshop has a tool like this, but I think that this one is better. Anyways, that's how we take something like this Photoshop thing and convert it into this prompt here. Hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure to like and subscribe. I have a bunch of other videos on my channel talking about productivity, time management, and how to apply the 80-20 principle. So check those out down below and enjoy yourself.